Hello everyone, I'm David Sivia. I run the exciting organisation Feedback Organic. I'm a fifth generation farmer, a first generation circular economy based urban farmer, and we're creating a new generation, one that's growing food's future together. Let's face it, food is so convenient in 2022 that we don't even need to grow it ourselves. Do we even need to know how to grow food? When you think about it, when was the last time you ate food that you've grown? For some, it's common, but for most, it's far from that. And it's that disconnect of where our food comes from that's creating the biggest impact on our environment. So what we're on our way to solving are three of Australia's social issues: unsustainable food production practices, food waste from us all, and then the disconnect of both from all of us. And we're doing this because a third of food in Australia and the world is wasted and is contributing up to 10% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. And as you can see, there's many other societal issues. So where to from here? Well, at Feedback Organic, we're creating community inclusive circular food systems that scale socially. And what that means is we set up urban farms in the city like we've done here in Newcastle that become physical platforms for change. Working with everyone who creates food waste, we divert that waste from landfill, we grow produce from converting that food waste into compost, get that produce back to its community, and importantly, provide accessible, collaborative, engaging education that embeds this behaviour. And what that translates to is this: literal boots on the ground, hands in the soil, food system accessibility and transparency. From the little bubs to the adults who are both harvesting carrots for the first time, to the schools, the universities, the cafe owners, and city folk who all make up our food system. This is how you create a new connected food system. And to date, we've done all of this in response to the undeniable need from government, industry, and all of us to move from a linear to circular way of living by 2030. It's pretty cool. And our momentum is aligned to see this model within three communities within 2 years, using our fellowship model of social replication. And we're building on this impact through strategic industry, government, and community collaboration and partnerships. And that's where you come in. Projects with OzHarvest, Remondis, Biopack, and EPA Innovation Partnership, strategic alignment with local and regional councils' climate action plans, alignment with the 100 joint organisations and University of Newcastle's strategic plans as well. These are all choices that have positioned Feedback Organic as a regional community engagement platform for communities, educational institutions, and industries to benefit from. And each year, the market grows to support these innovative ways and scale the solutions to meet the Sustainable Development Goals. And we recognise that adapting to the market will help along with these types of partnerships. So I'd like to introduce you to today's version of Feedback Organic. With a regenerated mission, building our impact capacity through strategic institutional partnerships, and importantly, a new non-profit auspicing social enterprise structure. We have charitable status with plans for DGR status, commercially profitable and engineered for collaborative, sustainable impact. Today for the audience here, and understanding the complexity of what it takes to create this change, our ask falls into two exciting and timely priorities for everyone involved. One, we're after expressions of interest from councils, educational institutions, and mission-aligned organisations seeking a proven model of tangible stakeholder engagement and action towards the SDGs. And two, help us elevate our impact through playing an active role in our organisation. What we're looking for board members, board advisors, advocates of our mission, and funders now and throughout the demands of our organisation's growth in the coming years. Specifically today, we're after the right individuals and organisations who wish to support this cause, as right now we know the known unknowns. To undertake our next steps, we're after expertise in governance, charitable foundations, local and state government relationships, and sponsorship and grants. Yet first, I'd like to raise the question, when you think about the Sustainable Development Goals, what comes to mind? How are you as an organisation contributing to them? Well, in short, contributing with Feedback Organic in whatever capacity through these 4 options creates lasting, tangible impact for the SDGs. That's what it translates to. For those who are looking to find out more, please scan the QR code and use these details below. Because today, we recognise that one of the quickest ways we can influence behaviour and see impact is by working with individuals and organisations who've done it before. And from my experience, we've learned that the best way of growing food's future is together. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks so much, David.
No worries.
So I will ask people to please raise their hands if they have a question in the reactions button at the bottom of Zoom.
I think there'll also be an opportunity to connect after as well if anyone needs to. There's a lot of information to take in, but there's on our presentation that I can put through our website as well, there's a QR code which will help just to let you know. Thanks.
So we ran our first showcase yesterday in person in Sydney, and our experience was that people took a little bit of time to warm up. There may be some questions in the chat later, David.
Sounds good. That's perfect.
If people aren't quite ready to ask a question yet in person. So cool. What we might do is...
I see one question. There is one question, yeah.
Oh,
and it's
great.
From a legend who I know as well, Amanda. G'day, Amanda. Hello, hello. Hey, mate. How would this work in a local council environment in Sydney? Yeah, it's such a broad question as well, and like whether that means like a physical location or like what kind of partnerships and things are associated with that. That's where I guess we've made that shift to transition to this new structure of where it's a non-profit auspicing social franchises. And how that works is we have been actively looking for land before, as you're aware of, in I guess through private kind of arrangements. And now with this new legal structure, that's where we're looking to actually partner with the right local councils and educational institutions so that we could use their footprint and their infrastructure to really have longevity in the lifespan of these offerings, I guess. And that's where these kind of conversations and the people we get on board will be able to actually broaden our strength with lengthening those as well. Hopefully that helps. Cool.
Amanda said, let's chat.
Let's do.
Anyone else like to ask David a question? Okay. Oh, so Anne has a question from Nesrock.
Yep, sure.
What is the smallest amount of land you require?
Totally. We found we've actually used about 4 different locations in the last couple of years, and they've gone from people's backyards, which are quite small, to the optimal land size, which for us was about 1 acre. And what that translates to, in actually giving you an idea of how much that is, it's about half the size of a soccer field, if that gives you some ideas. And yeah, it's an incredibly active platform for community engagement from that small footprint. It's pretty cool.
Thank you. Okay, well, we might, so David, if you don't mind just keeping an eye on the chat in case some more questions come up. And thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll call on our next entrepreneur, which is Patrick Manley from Circle.
All right, so I'm here from Circle. Circle is a company that I've spent the last 3 years or so working on. And we're all about trying to solve the problem of disposable coffee cups, specifically in busy office environments in the city. And we're called Reuse Without the Hassle because we've designed a system which we think makes reuse less of a hassle for the users. So this is me, my co-founder Steve. He's not with us today. He runs a network of cafes in the city and has got this amazing wealth of knowledge about cafes, which makes it really awesome. So a couple of years ago, I went rooting through the bins in the basement of a big building in the city and came across this. This is 1,600 disposable cups. We estimate that building roughly uses about 1,200 a day. When you survey the users in this building, 70% of them have a reusable cup. When you look at how many reusable cups get used for their coffee, you find 1 to 5% of that. So there's a massive, there's an intent to use a lot of reuse, but the actual translation to behavior is very poor. When we look at those branding on those reusable cups, we find that they come from a very localized area. So in this case, it's 70% from 50 meters around the building. So this research caused us to go off and try and come up with a circle. I'm going to play this video. I almost guarantee the sound won't work. I'm going to put the link, play the first 30 seconds, and I'll post the link into the chat. We all have a reusable cup, but we're not solving the problem. What if we had a reusable cup with the same convenience as disposable? Meet Circle, workplace cup of the future. Once you're done with your coffee, drop your cup in the drop pod in your workplace, and your job is done. We'll then collect the cup, wash and return it to the cafe so you can use it again. We partner with office buildings and cafes to create a circular solution for reusable cups focused on the convenience of the user. All right. Like I said, I'll post the link to that video in the chat, but essentially the message I really wanted to get across is that we've created this system Circle. It's based on trying to make reuse as convenient for the users as possible using those drop pods that you saw in the video, and working with the building cleaners to collect, wash and return the cups after we've used them. So this makes us a little bit different to some of the other systems that are out there. We like to think we've got a broad range of 5 big differences. Working from left to right, we really like the cup. It's fantastic double-walled stainless steel. It's a really, really unique drinking experience. Our drop pods make it very convenient for users. We're free. We put no barriers up in front of users when they use the system. So it's a trust-based reuse system. We work with the cleaners to get a collection service going. And then on the far right, we've got a whole bunch of data which comes out of the use of that, which is really, really fascinating. So we've hit about 35,000 users from that one building so far in under 12 months of actual operations. We've had a lot of COVID in the last year. And the users love it. So one of the things I think has just been so overwhelmingly positive for my first launch is just how on board people get when they realize there's a free reusable cup that they don't have to bring back to the cafe. So much so that they take to LinkedIn and start posting about it. So we've had a really overwhelming amount of feedback, positive feedback from users, which is really powerful, and it creates a fantastic branding opportunity for these big buildings in the city. So impact to date, so a whole bunch of uses. We've got 5 independent cafes on board, and we've got 4 sites, 1 big building in Sydney and a couple of test sites sitting around. Actually, sorry, that's now 2 big buildings because there's one of the banks who's recently come on board for Classic for July. Talking about our future sites, we've got I've got sort of a long list of buildings from around Australia and elsewhere as well, particularly in Australia, that are really looking to help or want to activate sites. And so I think one of the ways I'd be really looking for support from local governments is how we can collaborate on that. They need infrastructure such as washing machines to transition very quickly across to a reusable model. And so I think there's a really cool opportunity for some co-funding in there. So our strategy in the next couple of years is to really focus on working with these big property companies that are motivated to do something about this problem. Our potential as a company over the coming time is to design a system that's continuing to invest in the system so it becomes really good. We're looking at other product lines, so introducing reusable lunch boxes into that same system as well, and then of course expanding out to other areas that fit the same kind of environment, such as airports and retail. So how you can help me? We're always looking for people to help with the team. So that is really passionate people that want to solve this problem. That's why I've got as far as we have today. Like any new company, we are in the market for funding, and that comes in various different forms. I think one of the ones that's really exciting to me around local government is how we can collaborate specifically on certain sites to achieve an environmental outcome. And partners, they range from anyone from cleaning companies through to new customers, through to technical expertise and collaboration with universities. Cool. So that's it from me. I just left my email address down here on the bottom. So if anyone wants to get in contact, feel free to just ping me a message.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Patrick. Can you unshare your screen?
Awesome.
And please, we welcome any questions. Lots of claps there.
A question?
Yes, please go.
Wonderful presentation, Patrick. I'm Verena McCarthy from the Queensland Government. Whereabouts are you based?
Sydney, although, yes, I'm based in Sydney. But yes, we've been talking to buildings up in Brisbane.
Okay, yeah, we love your concept, so be interested in chatting to you more about it.
Yeah, including the one that you might be in, actually, the Queensland Government.
Thanks.
And it's the only fully reusable coffee cup model in the country at the moment. Is that right?
Yeah, in terms of like us providing users of that complete experience, like service, yes. We've got lots of what I call swap schemes out there, which require you to onboard onto an app and then bring the cup back to a cafe, but we're the only one that basically gives it to you as a full service.
Emily asks, how can a building business get involved?
Well, I'll just answer it really simply. Like, let's pick up the phone and chat to us. There's various different ways, but when it comes to, we're working on models that at the moment make it much easier for us to scale up buildings. So for buildings to start with like one cafe, one tenancy in the building, it's very easy. You know, we bring in a drop pod, we'll get the cups out, people start to use it, and then we've got a mechanism to then scale that up to wider members of that building, out to more cafes, etc., etc. The other model, of course, is to just come in and just do one big bang launch where we take the whole building, all tenants, a whole bunch of cafes. But we often find with all these launches that you sort of need that anchor or initial catalyst of a person, organisation to get it going, and then scale out from there. I can answer the question about the cups being returned really quickly. So yeah, as it's a completely free to use system, we're not tracking users and not asking to pay a deposit. They're completely free to walk off with a cup. The reason that it's designed that way is because when we started, we had no money. So we just let the cups out and saw what happened. And because we track it, we know when and where a cup has gone missing. We just don't know who has taken it. So 35,000 users. We've had I currently don't know where 145 cups are. And that's over 12 months. So we believe that that loss rate is going to be completely acceptable in most big buildings in terms of how much it will cost to just replace those cups over the 12 months. Pretty good branding for if people have taken those cups to go and talk about it in other places. But yeah, we just found that it's just been the most amazing amounts of loyalty to the system. I think when people understand what it's for and it gets sponsorship from their organizations, they're pretty good at putting the cups back in the drop pod.
Can I ask a question as well about, I know you're collecting a lot of data through those QR codes. Can you tell us how many cups you've already, just in the last 6 months, how many cups you've already stopped from being used and therefore going to landfill through this, through the current programs, clients you have?
Yeah, so we launched EY from November, so basically about 30,000 in 6 months, because that's been the majority of our years. Basically, since we came out of the last lockdown, everyone's come back to the office around November time, and we've had massive amounts of usage since then. We launched a building in Macquarie Bank in their Sydney office for Plastic in July. They've saved 5,000 cups already. They're likely to almost hit 10,000 just from 1 month alone.
That's great. And Patrick has a question, Patrick Mooney. Great idea and valuable reference sites. Patrick, do you have IP in your system? Also, have you considered a branding revenue stream, example, charge partners, advertisers to have their logos on the cups?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so I'll answer this as quick as I can, but the IP of the system is likely to come from several things. One of the things I'm learning in circular design is that you kind of are designing, there's different things happening in that circle, and they've got different opportunities to protect it. One of the things very key for us is the drop pods. I think they're a real value add to the system, which has not been properly explored. And so I'll consider a lot of that our IP. But I also think some of our key IP is how we work with building cleaners. and how we get the most efficient system and the operating model up and running. That to me is really, really key for it. And one of the things that we bring, which I know other companies out there aren't doing. How do we protect it? Very difficult. I keep getting told that it's not worth the paper it's written on for some of the IP protection. So there's definitely some challenges there.
Yeah, it may come up in your investment discussions, of course, because you did mention you're raising capital as well.
Yeah.
So to have an answer on that, whether it's sort of keeping your arrangements with the cleaners, secret, that sort of thing, or so it looked like your drop-in container might have some potential, for protection there, particularly if you had some, unique design in that. So anyway, it's just a thought, particularly I think if you're looking to scale, I think it's a fantastic concept. You obviously got a great response.
Yeah, no, thank you, Patrick. That's really wise. And your comment about the branding as well. Yeah, I think absolutely. Like one of the things we could do with partners is do things in certain places that are much bigger and broader than just, a tenant in an office building. Like we know that offices work, but what about if we went to the airport and just did a Sydney Airport Cup? Yes. So it's, that sort of thing is very possible.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, thank you so much. So Marianne, I see you have a question there, but Patrick, if you wouldn't mind taking the time to just answer that in the chat and any other questions that come up, and we'll move on to our next wonderful entrepreneur, which is Amelia Crook and her business Ownershift. Amelia is based in Victoria, and I ask her to tell us all about it.
Hello, everybody. Can you all hear me okay? Thumbs up. Amazing. This floaty dream of a dress is one of 7,000 new styles hitting the fast fashion website Shein today. It is remarkably similar to a dress from a slow fashion brand popular on social media that sells for about $366, but you can pick this one up for $28.95. This dress is one of 100 billion items of clothing sold every year. And since we throw out about 60% of what we buy within 12 months, this dress has a good chance of ending up in landfill. And when it does, because it's 100% virgin polyester, it's going to take about 200 years to break down. This innocent looking dress represents what's wrong with our fashion industry. We take, make, and waste with no regard for the catastrophic impact of this linear system. If we continue consuming like this, we're going to need 2.3 planets worth of resources by 2030. I wish I was here today telling you there's a silver bullet solution. I've got it in my back pocket. Let's just do this. That's not the case. This is a systemic change that needs to happen. But what I am here to tell you about today is Ownershift. We're building an important enabler to shift the fashion industry to a more circular economy and reduce its negative impact on the planet. Hi, I'm Amelia Crook. I have unique insight into this problem. I started my career at Australia's first big e-commerce venture in the year 2000, and I went on to work on digital products that have disrupted industries. And last year, I started a TikTok account where I announced to the world that I had misplaced my personal style during the pandemic. I've been wearing tracksuit pants for 2 years, and I was only going to buy secondhand clothes to refind it. This struck a chord. I've ended up in The Guardian, the New York Times, on a US talk show. And having this conversation with 137,000 people has given me unique insight into the consumer demand for an easier way to buy secondhand clothes. And I've used my professional experience and this insight to create a platform to start influencing the fashion industry to shift to a more circular model. And that's me on ABC News doing just that. So let's talk about secondhand fashion and why my TikTok struck a chord. Fashion resale is growing 3 times faster than the global apparel market overall and faster than fast fashion. If everybody bought one used item this year instead of buying new, it would save 200 million kilograms of waste. And brands are seeing this growth. They know there's value in their clothes on the secondhand market, but they're also acutely aware that they need to meet their growth targets, stay relevant to their customers, meet their shareholder needs. And this feels like an impossible equation, marrying growth with responsible consumption. The answer to this impossible equation is as old as time. It's selling secondhand clothes. Keeping items at their highest use for as long as possible is a key strategy in a more sustainable fashion system, and brands have a role to play to enable this. But the current retail paradigm is linear. It is not designed to bring items back from customers nor to prepare them to sell again. So resale is currently sitting in the too hard basket for brands in Australia to engage with. So I have created OwnerShift. We make resale viable for brands and retailers. We specialise in the tricky logistics, the platform development and machine learning to enable brands to launch their own take back and resale channel. Let me show you. This is Kim. She went on a hiking trip with mates a few years ago, and her Patagonia jacket is now sitting underutilised in her wardrobe. She gets an email from Patagonia about their trade-in program, and she's going to get $40 back if she sends the jacket in. Her daughter needs a new winter jacket, so this appeals to her. She sends it in and it arrives at OwnerShift. We authenticate the jacket, grade its condition, and send Kim her incentive that she can use to buy her daughter's jacket. We clean the jacket and list it for sale on Patagonia's resale website that we manage for them. This is Sarah. She's just finished uni and she's going on a big first overseas trip. And she's going to Canada, so she knows she's going to need a good winter jacket, but she wants to save every penny for the trip. She goes to Patagonia's website and sees that she can buy their high quality gear secondhand, which is amazing. She buys the jacket that used to be Kim's at about half the price of new. So she's all set for her trip. This very simple story shows the benefits of resale and of partnering with us. Kim bought her daughter's jacket from Patagonia. She's now a loyal customer. Sarah couldn't afford Patagonia new, but now she's a customer. And Patagonia have made a profit on that jacket twice. These are key growth levers for the business, not just a sustainability project. And by partnering with us, a brand doesn't have to worry about the specialist logistics required. They will get post-consumer data on their clothes they've never had access to before and have an authentic ESG story to tell. This story is real. I am not making it up. Well, the characters are made up, but the process is real. This is what Patagonia in the US are actually doing, but Patagonia in Australia is not. We're about 8 to 10 years behind the US in this market, and we are here to catch us up. So where are we at? We're validated problem solution fit, and I'm very excited to announce that Australia Post has joined us as a foundation collaborator to enable a pilot. And we're going to co-design this pilot with a soon to be announced brand to run the water through the pipes and understand the opportunity for us all. We'll then seek to raise investment to set up our warehouse and cleaning facility and key staff. And then we are going to service our pipeline of brands. And this is who we're talking to. These are not small corner shops. These are global brands that are interested in a more sustainable fashion industry. So our goal, I live in regional Victoria, and we want to set up our warehouse and cleaning facilities in our region. That is, I'm in Kyneton, so Macedon Ranges, Bendigo area. We want to create regional jobs and create circular infrastructure to service all of Australia. To do that, we need to get this pilot running. So we're after warehouse space and a commercial laundry. And if any of you know partners that may be interested in helping us in this pilot, I would love to hear from you. So thank you for your time. I hope you're now as excited about shifting the Australian retail industry to a more circular model as I am, and open to questions.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Amelia. It's fantastic. So we've had a few comments just saying what a great idea already. But if anyone has any particular questions for Amelia, please either unmute yourself or write them in the chat or put your hand up and I'll call you out. Could you tell us a little bit about some similar systems in the US, for example, and how this is already working?
Yeah, for sure. So there is one company in the US called Trove. They are powering the resale channels for Levi's, Patagonia, Eileen Fisher, Lululemon just rolled out to over 300 stores in the US. They are our inspiration, and they have they are not coming to Australia. Many brands have asked them and they're not, which is good for us. But this just proves that there's so much market in America to go after that they're not bothering going international yet. And the same is true for Australia, though a smaller scale. There are other models brands can engage with to keep items at their highest use, but none of them capture the value like this model does. So you may be familiar as a consumer with Aerobe. If you shop on The Iconic, you've probably seen a little widget that tells you how much you can get if you sell the item you're about to buy secondhand. That's great. For consumers, there's room for everyone in this, where there's so many clothes in the market to keep at their highest use. But if a brand wants to engage and offer consumers a way to keep their items in circulation with low effort, without having to deal with buyers and sellers and, you know, cat hair and stuff, then this is the model that will do that.
There's a question here. Hey, Amelia, sounds amazing. Are you concerned about getting a lot of stuff that is unable to be resold due to poor condition? What will you do with those items?
Yes, so there are a couple of tactics for that. One is we're working with high quality brands to begin with. So brands that can stand by their items and know that they can last multiple wears. Our ultimate goal is to inform brands about their durable items so that they can have more durable and sustainable designs going forward. For the items that do come back that are not fit for resale, then we're working with both a charity partner and apparel, a recycling partner, to pass them along to end of life or to another owner. But ultimately the brand needs to stand behind the clothes that they are accepting back. So that does limit our market to brands that can do that.
So Joanna asked, how can local councils in other areas get involved?
I'm not sure of that answer. I'd love to hear your ideas. I would love ownership to be so ubiquitous that it is powering resale for all the high quality brands in Australia, and therefore an ownership bag or drop box could be in local council areas for people to drop their items back really easily. But I see Scott's on the call, and I'm definitely interested in chatting to Scott about Bendigo and the opportunities there around the circular infrastructure that they're building.
And I'll just ask one final question. Do you know what the cheapest item is that would be economically feasible?
Yeah, we do. And I've costed that out for the pilot. The pilot will be less economic than our ultimate goal once we've got investment, because we then start to see the economies of scale and bringing that price down. So it's lower than you probably think, but over time we will get those economies of scale because this is a technology-led solution. Machine learning, robotics, like think of a very whiz-bang sort of infrastructure that makes it viable. And it's only because technology has caught up to this problem that we're able to offer it now. That's why this is happening now and not 20 years ago.
Wonderful. So there's a few more questions in the chat. So if you wouldn't mind taking some time and answering those. And can I just ask people if they wouldn't mind in their name, if they could put the organisation they're from, whether it's from local government or a state government body or another organisation, if they could put that in so that Amelia and others can know who they're talking with, if that's okay. Wonderful. Okay, so thank you so much. And I'll now ask Danling and Annette from Rico to give us their pitch.
Hi everyone, my name is Annette and this is Danling. We are the founders of Rico. Rico stands for Reimagine, Co-Create, and you are very lucky you can see our shelf behind us. We are in our home office. Our mission is to tackle plastic pollution. In the past 60 years, despite all the efforts, the world has only recycled 9% of the plastic produced. This means 6.3 trillion kilograms of plastic is still in our ecosystem. Recycling is part of the circular economy solutions, but we cannot recycle our way to the future. The first and foremost solution should be reusing, and we are here to lead the movement. I'm a retail professional with 12 years of experience working in a global fashion brand, and I have extensive knowledge of inventory management, account management, operations, and sales. And Danning will talk about herself.
Just very short, I am a creative director, designer, and communicator. I've been in the industry for almost 15 years, but in the past 7 years, I dedicated myself to learning about sustainability and raising awareness for the environment. So for the work I've done in the past 7 years, I was named the Shapeshifter by the Circle Awards last year.
And we are passionate about bringing this knowledge to build a truly sustainable brand. Our vision is to build a local refill delivery system that provides the most convenient and beautiful user experience. Our system includes custom-made reusable containers, local modular washing labs, a web app, currently we have a website, and third-party logistics network. For the users, the refill process is super easy. Just like when you order anything online, we will deliver it to you. When you finish your product, you order again and you prepare your empty jar for collection. We come and collect and swap your empty for a full one, and you even get a $2 credit for your next purchase. The jars then come back to our system, and as you can see on a photo, in a commercial kitchen, we would wash them. Later, we will refill them and use them again and again. Currently, we refill a laundry powder and dishwasher powder, both made by our product partner Simply Clean in the beautiful northern rivers of New South Wales. They are premium products made with lemon myrtle. There are no fillers and no toxic chemicals. It's also very concentrated. So a jar, what you can see on a slide, it has 850 grams of laundry powder, would last for over 3 months for a household of 2. And the price is actually very similar. The price per wash load is very similar to the supermarket price. When our system is fully built, we can plug in any local brands, any products, and we can deliver them to the users. And now I will pass the rest of the presentation to Danning.
So why are we different? Our user experience is the most convenient and beautiful. As you can see, it's super easy. So basically we list up the 3 points here, and I'm gonna go through the 3 points. It's super easy. You don't have to clean the jar to take it up for refill, or you don't have to send it back. We collect it from you, and you even get the reward for it. Every order is looked after by Pack and Send's local center, run by the center owner. So during the pandemic, while lots of businesses have difficulties with logistics, we've never missed a delivery or received a complaint. And most importantly, we are aligned with our customer value. It is plastic-free, zero-waste delivery, local operation, premium products that is locally made and non-toxic. And for all of this, you don't have to pay a premium. And we believe this is fundamentally will change, will enable behavioral change. So you may wonder, how do we expand to other cities? Our reverse logistics is already covered by Pack and Send. They have more than 100 centers in Australia. So each center stocks our products and deliver within their local areas. So to expand to other cities, what we need is local marketing, partnerships, and a team to look after the washing and refilling in each city. So at the moment, we deliver only in the city, in Sydney area. Our customers are professionals, mostly females. They care about the planet and love to support local businesses. And in other words, we are our own customers. And that gives us a lot of empathy into building a brand, into building the brand and the product. We're proud to deliver to some of the most high-profile change makers in town, and they include the Sydney Deputy Lord Mayor Jess Scully. We also deliver to holiday rentals and offices. We have a partnerships with One Denison, where you can see it's in this building in the picture. It's a sustainable building in North Sydney, and that delivers by our North Sydney partner. Our dishwasher powder works perfect for any dishwasher, so you can refill them in bulk. And compared to other products, ours is toxin-free and doesn't pollute the waterways.
In recent years, we have seen supermarkets trialing out refill stations in Sydney and Melbourne, which is very exciting. And in the UK, large retailers have formed a refill coalition group, and they're rolling out refill stations, but also refill delivery. The UK government is investing £30 million in innovations like our system. Right now, we're the only startup in Australia that provides such convenient and beautiful refill delivery experience. We are not just selling another product or service, we are inspiring positive changes within the people and community. We are still at the very early stage, but we're working on improving our packaging and also developing an app that will make it even easier for the users to refill and track their efforts. When Rico is fully built, it will be a great system to help brands and retailers transition to a circular model. So at the moment, like I said, we are focusing on Sydney at this stage. We deliver in the Lower North Shore, the eastern suburbs, the City of Sydney areas, and the inner west. We would love the council support in these areas for now. We understand that you may not be able to promote a for-profit business, but it would be very helpful if we can involve in your, raising awareness campaign or community events. For example, the City of Sydney Council has been very supportive. We've received a grant from them to write a book, and which is what you can see on the picture here. The book is called Circular Sydney, and is to share the knowledge and showcase businesses and people in Sydney who are leading the circular economy movement. So if you are a council in the greater Sydney areas, we would love to talk about sponsorship and have you involved as well. So thank you, and we open for any questions or any opportunities to discuss.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dunling and Annette.
Can
you unshare your screen?
I'll stop sharing.
All right, we've already got a question from Patrick. He says, it's a big problem you're targeting. What range of products can your containers handle, and what reaction have you had from manufacturers of such?
Yeah, so with the products, at the moment we only have laundry powder, and that's really designed for purpose for the jars that we have at the moment, which is off the shelf. And basically we're looking at designing our own containers that can be fit for purpose for any sort of products that need single-use packaging. And you're right, it's a huge problem to solve. And for us, we believe that, start from small, and that's why we have been, we've just make ourselves dedicated to let's just do it and see what the market reacts. So from manufacturers, for example, Simply Clean, they embrace what we do, they share it with their customers. And we actually also interview other researchers, other brands as well, and they have put so much research into getting the right logistics and the right containers, but no one has so far solved the problem yet, and they are really keen on working together as well.
Do you see, or do they see any conflict with their existing packaging strategies, which they might have invested in, packaging equipment, manufacturing equipment, etc.? Have you had any resistance to that approach? Or?
Not at all, actually, because what we're doing is so hyper-local. And so, for example, with Simply Clean, they sell all over Australia, and they also sell it overseas as well. And plastic is basically the biggest problem they have in-house. So they actually see it as a complementary solution to their business.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. That's 10 minutes, so we'll leave it there. But if there's other questions, please put them in the chat. I just would like you to put your T-shirts up for sale as well. I'd like one of your T-shirts too. Thanks, guys. Okay, I'm going to ask Seamus O'Sullivan from Grain Out to talk to us about his business dealing with commercial food waste. And Patrick is coming to us. Oh, sorry, Seamus is coming to us. Lots of Patricks. Seamus is coming to us from Victoria as well. Thank you so much, Seamus.
Thank you. I assume everyone can hear me and see me, but just yell out if not. Hi, I'm Seamus O'Sullivan. I'm the co-founder of Grainout. We offer circular economy solutions for medium but mainly large food manufacturers. So what's the problem that we've been faced with? So as most of you would be aware, food waste costs the Australian economy over $36 billion a year, and up to, depending on different regions and states, up to 47% of food waste comes from food manufacturing. So that's that was the opportunity that we saw. So why me and why my company? So my background is in food manufacturing. So I've worked in sort of household food branded names for over 15 years in procurement, and I saw a bit of a gap in the market in how food and food byproducts were being managed or not managed, a bit of a capability gap for food manufacturers. And in 2019, I finished my Masters of Supply Chain, and I got really passionate about this emerging area of the circular economy. I kind of put the two together and thought, wow, here's a really good opportunity. So in 2019, I co-founded Grainout. So I approached Benzol. So Benzol are waste to recovery specialists in industrial, and they saw an opportunity in the market to diversify into this organics or food space. So just put simply, the business model is a full outsourced business model. There's no employees, there's no processing plants, there's no offices. The model works on a network of strategic business partnerships. So what that means is Grainout use Benzol's network of strategic partnerships in suppliers, processors, off-takers of waste, and transfers them to more valuable resources. People always ask, I'm confused, are you guys consultants? Are you a service? We're both. So essentially we're commercially driven. If our customer wants us to pick up and remove food waste and find another channel, we do that. If our customer needs us to do research or provide templates and facilitation on how they can improve their food waste, we do that. But our business model of outsourcing means that we're fast, we're really innovative, and most importantly, we don't have infrastructure stuck in one location, so we're really cost effective. So the commercial lens is very primary to our business. What have we achieved so far? So we became operational in December 2019, and since then we've moved over 1 million kilos of food waste to animal feed. So that's what we've done, where customers have asked us to manage. The same, over 1 million litres of liquid waste to animal feed, and 1.6 million litres of liquid waste to compost. And how do we do it? So we use circular economy business strategies. So basically what this is, if we look along the left of the hill, this is really saying that we use principles of minimising food waste all the way from the source up the hill to the manufacturer, to the logistics network, and out to the consumer. We use it. We do that using our circular economy framework. So the area that most companies approach us and we start with, because it's the most commercially driven outcome, is we look at their current disposal methods and we benchmark them against the industry standard. So it might be product going to landfill, so to your local waste recovery centre. It might be product going to animal feed. We even look at trade waste. So this is an area I'll talk about that you may have with a lot of your local businesses, but trade waste is a very expensive cost for them. So an example up the road is Hawker's Brewery. There's a local brewery, and just from discussions with them, even though the cost for disposal just to flush any liquid waste down the drain is minimal, these medium-sized manufacturers spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and I'll go into a product we've developed for that. The second phase is we looked at upcycled food byproducts. So we look at alternate applications. So if a product's going to landfill, we look at how to divert that maybe to animal feed, or if it's currently going to animal feed, we have projects that run how to divert that into food for human consumption or pharmaceutical or packaging. The last phase, which is maybe probably less relevant here, but this is what we're talking about, the value, the hill, the hill before in the previous slide is This is looking at really evolving food manufacturers, so minimising food waste via collaboration upstream and downstream. So we provide a toolkit with the templates, or we can facilitate it to say how do they engage with their suppliers and their customer, even with their competitors or industry leads, to look at where all the waste is in the full value chain, and then how they measure it and create projects to reduce it. So here's an example we had 2 weeks ago, literally that recently, of how looking at where we've been approached for peanut shells to say that are going to landfill, and saying what else could we do with them. So in Australia, they were going to landfill, and we looked what is happening with peanut shells in other countries, and we see there's 4 main applications. So they're used overseas. They're processed and converted into an adsorbent, which mops up industrial spills. They've been developed already into a PVA biocomposite, so that's for recycled packaging. Can also be, it's also used as biofuel, and it can be converted into biochar, which is a fertiliser for acidic soils. So what we do is we went back within a week and said, based on what we see as the practices from overseas, there's 4 applications, and we rank that in terms of its commercial viability. We then go back to the customer and say, there's 4 main steps to then convert that and go to market. So the first step we just discussed is around what's the commercial viability of it, what are the different applications, and which one we would prioritise. We then go out to our strategic network of partners and say, who are the partners who work in this space to either process it or just take it directly to use it? And do we need to develop any capability there? The third stage is, does it need, who are the customers to take that? Again, we use our network partnership, but do we need to develop that channel strategy further and create new customers? And then the 4th stage is then to trial it and then go to market. So depending on the product and its application is the complexity and time. So it can be really short, where in the case of the peanut shell, if we have someone who's a partner who can take it and use it already, it can be in the space of a week or 2 weeks. But if it needs development and capability, it can be a longer term project. So since in 2022 alone, we've been approached by these major food manufacturers. I just wanted to give one example, because for this audience, because I know that trade waste, so all these, for those councils or regions that have food manufacturers, whether they be medium or large, trade waste is a big problem, and they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're doing a project with Bega at their Port Melbourne site currently. So they do over 8 million litres of trade waste. And we've spent a year partnering with a processor and developed an enzyme. So what it does is we dose this enzyme into the trade waste, and it's actually a bug that just loves and mops up food waste. So all these, the enzyme works away and it eats up this food waste. And before it goes, the companies then flush out this liquid waste. They don't have the high levels, in this case, if it's sulfide or BOD, all these components they get charged for are significantly reduced. And that's one product that we're really excited about, and also we think would be really beneficial for companies who are having those problems and issues in each of your local council areas. So where's GrainOut going to from here? We are going to continue. We don't have enormous growth targets within the year. We're going to grow organically. But what our ask is to this audience is probably threefold. One is for each of the council areas, the waste recovery centres, or what used to be called TIPs, have a lot of bulk food waste already going to them direct from manufacturers. So there's an opportunity if local areas or councils want to collaborate or throw us a challenge where those centres can still be commercially viable, but could potentially find more valuable channels for those. So that's the first ask, is any areas that have waste recovery centres that want to throw us a challenge to create additional commercial value for those products. The second one is any medium to large manufacturers in your local area that want us to look at their products. They can just, again, throw us the challenge, and we can come back relatively quickly on with some feedback in that first phase. And the areas, we're always after partnerships. So we do a lot of work with my local council, Darebin, and they have a strong network of circular companies. So one example is Fungi Solutions, do some great work locally in converting some food waste. So any of those partnerships and collaborations are really critical to our business, but also to each of your local councils and how we could deliver value for your food manufacturing processes. So thanks very much, everyone, for your time today, and any questions, please let me know.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Seamus. And thank you for answering that question about how you can work with councils as well. I think that's really helpful, and has probably already answered a lot of questions people may have had. But that was 10 minutes. So we're going to move on to food to soil. But please, again, if anyone has questions for Seamus, please put them in the chat. And Seamus, if you wouldn't mind just keeping an eye on that to answer any questions. So I'd like to now introduce Josie from Food to Soil, who's going to tell us all about their bionutrient liquid fertiliser. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk to you about Food to Soil natural plant food. So this is Annabelle and I. We are the proud co-founders of Food to Soil. We connected over a love of soil health, gardening, climate action, and we are both waste haters. So Food to Soil is a biological fertilizer that is made from food waste. Think of it like a kombucha, but for plants and soil. This photo is taken of us in our Canberra factory, and these are our current fermenting tanks. At the moment, because it's primarily Annabelle and I, we started quite small, and we produce for the home gardener market. This work is hard, it is heavy, it is dirty, and it is smelly. So you have to wonder, why do we do it? Well, it solves some problems that we are really concerned about. 7 tons of topsoil is lost for every person on the earth every year. So at the rate we are losing this topsoil, we've only got 60 years of it left. That would be goodbye food production. The causes of this is primarily from erosion, from deforestation, conventional farming, and chemical-based fertilizers. Australia particularly has really poor soils. And if anyone has tried to dig a hole in a suburban backyard, the backbreaking experience of that, you'll know the difference between dirt and soil. The other issue is food waste. If you were to stack Australia's commercial food waste on pallets, it would go from the ground to the International Space Station and back 14 times. And this is in 1 year. It is just Australia, and it's just commercial food waste. So we'll stay on the food waste. At the moment, the majority of that food waste is going into landfill, which it produces harmful greenhouse gases and is a total waste of all those fabulous nutrients. Microbial diversity, yes. This image is batch 35 of what we take from our cafe food waste. It's amazing the things you'll find in food waste. If anyone has questions, perhaps leave that one to the end. So our solution to the problem is our biofertilizer. And this is an image of our Food to Soil. Biofertilizer, meaning that it is biologically active. So it's got the nutrients from food waste as well as the microbes in it for soil health. Microbial diversity is key for soil health, which is actually really similar to the human digestive tract. also a dietitian, and what I found so fascinating was how similar our process system is to how we digest food, in that we break down food waste into components that the plants find very easy to absorb. It's interesting that for many years I've been telling people what foods to eat to improve their gut flora, and now I'm telling them how to do that for their soil. Food to soil also works. Our horticulturally tested results are up to 50% improved growth outcomes in common seaweed fertilizers. And our repeat customers and our super fans will vouch for this. So we know it works for growth outcomes. We also know food to soil helps improve plant resistance to stress factors such as drought and flood and frost. It also, unlike chemical-based fertilizers where you need to keep putting more and more on top, food to soil actually helps to build up the health of soil. So you don't need to be doing that. But most importantly for us, and our customer feedback surveys tell us this, it's the feel-good factor. So when our customer buys it, they're feeling extra good about their gardening as they are doing something about climate change when they purchase food to soil. A little bit about our traction. We know that organic fertilizer revenues are growing every year, as is regen ag and organic farming practices, which coincides with the consumer demands for chemical-free produce. There's supply chain disruptions on chemical exports due to war and COVID and sanctions. It's interesting for us is that urea has gone up 300% in price just in the last year. There are also very few microbial live competitors on the market, and there are none made from food waste. We are currently in one IGA and we have plans for more. We have some key partnerships. We give 1% to Greening Australia. We have a thriving social media accounts and a growing email subscriber list. Our business model. Food to soil is a really unique opportunity to be involved in a business that takes a wasted product and turns it into a four-way revenue source. That's through the intake of commercial food waste, which we can charge the going rate for, our sales of our product, the licensing of our microfactory across Australia and globally, and in our ability to earn carbon credits, which we can sell back to the government or on the carbon credit market. Our ask at the moment is for partners and for introductions to investors to help us move to our next facility, which will enable us to enter the agricultural market and also commercialize our solid product, which is also fantastic. But in today's, considering so many of our listeners are from councils, we would really love to see councils adopt a product like food to soil for application on playing grounds, on playgrounds in their local gardens. We know in Canberra, there's a huge problem with blue-green algae in our waterways, and so much of that is caused by chemical-based fertilizers that really disrupt the oxygen level in the waterways. I know my son rows on a lake that at times has looked like something the Joker is being dipped into. It's that fluoro green. So we would really love to see if we can get some councils to, do some trials or start looking at a product like food to soil that is locally made. It's Australian made. It's making the most out of a wasted product, and it gives back to land. So back to Annabelle and I, together we have the experience, the skills, the knowledge and the passion to see food to soil thrive. Food to soil is quite literally one part of the solution for climate change. So join the movement. Time is running out. Thank you very much. And if you've got questions, feel free to ask.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Josie. That was excellent. And we've already got some comments. asking you to get in touch with them about your product. So that's
Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa. we know Vanessa.
And also Angus at Willoughby Council as well.
Great. Thanks, Angus. We will.
Could you tell us a little bit about the research behind, I know there's a lot of research in the US in particular about bionutrient fertilizers that backs up the fertilizer?
So our product is a hydrolysate. It's been around for a long time. We've got like 20 years of proven research on how hydrolysates work. It's also a biostimulant. So we've done our own testing, and we are always doing more observational testing, but we are also using some of the backgrounds of the hydrolysate research that talks about, basically the whole premise is that you want to help the soil microbial life, and once that's healthy, it enables the plant to absorb the nutrients from the soil.
And we have a question here from Rebecca from Yass Valley Council, and she asks, are there any issues with biosecurity, i.e. the risk of passing on pathogens from plants in food waste onto gardens and farms that use the project?
Without giving our secret sauce, no, we don't. None of our products have that. We could possibly say the answer. It's generally got a really low pH. So as a dietitian, I know about Salmonella, Listeria, E. coli. We've had all that tested. It can't live in our quite concentrated solutions because it's a low pH. And once you put your application on, it becomes a very neutral product for land.
So Thomas, so we'll just make this the last question. Just wondering how large your processing factory and delivery site needs to be. How small can you go?
How small? Yeah, we have looked at this. We are going around for the micro factory. At this next stage, we're looking at something that'll probably be about 400 square meters. We're going to refine this next micro factory model, get it running, make sure it's efficient and effective at, you know, the size that we're aiming for, and then we can look at kind of variations of that once we've at least got that first micro factory up and running, if it makes sense.
Okay, great. And there's just a tip here from Sophie at City of Sydney to help with your mailing list. But please, if anyone has any more questions, please put them in the chat. And Josie and Annabelle, please keep an eye out for them. Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
So we've got our very last presentation of the day, our last pitch. And I'm very pleased to introduce you to Justin Hatchett from Green Furniture Hub. Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Anna. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Okay. Well, I know there's probably morning tea or an early lunch standing between this and the next 10 minutes, so I'll try to be as efficient as possible. Hello, everybody. My name is Justin Hatchett. I'm here to talk about Green Furniture Hub. Look, what I thought I might do is start with the ask. I guess being councils and government agencies would love to talk to any of you who oversee workplace change projects that generate furniture and equipment waste. And if you're looking for an ESG outcome, we'd love to talk. And also on the other side of our service offering, which I'll talk about in a moment, we represent a good opportunity to procure low-cost quality furniture that might help in your fit out. So anyways, we'll get started. Green Furniture Hub, why do we exist? Well, each year about 2.5 million square meters of office space is refurbished. And that generates a lot of waste. 145,000 tonne of strip out waste comes out of those spaces, 30,000 tonne of which is office furniture. And sadly, most of it goes to landfill. Less than 20% is recycled and less than 3% is actually reused. So it's an ongoing problem. It's costly and it's wasteful. It's complex, not easy to solve, but our solution's here to do our bit. If we look at what actually Green Furniture Hub does, it's probably best to put in the context of the waste hierarchy, which is a ranking system of waste minimisation processes against its environmental impact. And right up the top of the list, as you can see, is reuse. and followed by recycling. And Green Furniture Hub has focused the model on those two pathways, taking an item in its current form and moving it into another home, extending its life cycle of an item. So we are a for-profit commercial enterprise. We're looking to solve the problem, and we focus on reuse to do that. Who's behind Green Furniture Hub? Well, operating at a strategic level, two gentlemen, one being myself. I've got a corporate marketing communications background, interest in technology, and have worked in property, financial services, and government. Also, and the majority shareholder being Rajiv Midha, comes to the Green Furniture Hub with infrastructure in corporate relocation space and logistics and warehousing. So we have on the ground warehousing trucks and people and capability in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and partnership in Perth. And we, between our two skill sets, which are very different, we think we've got you know, those skills and insights in place to tackle this problem at scale. To try and understand where we fit in and what we actually do, I've got this graphic here, which I think is a very good overview of the ecosystem from the Better Building Partnerships. On the left, you can see 3 stick people, and they actually represent a very complex arrangement and value chain. We've got the tenants, the building owner, and a myriad of intermediaries that sit in the middle. Now, when an office space goes through a transition, being an end of lease or refurbishment, there's a whole range of competing incentives, time constraints, just a lot of complexity, which generates waste at the end of the outcome. But on the other side, the good news is there are pathways. There are end users of these items and materials that are happy to take and buy and extract value from these. The real challenge is making that visible and getting it from point A to point B, which is basically an inventory management technology solution combined with logistics expertise and capability. And look, that's where we operate. That's what we do. We're very good at it. And I think that's also our main value proposition and why we're different. So what have we done? Well, we've been operating for about 3.5 years now, of which about 18 months have been in very challenging office environment, thanks to COVID, with lots of decisions being pushed back. But proudly, we've had some traction. So we've rehomed, resold, given away in some instances over 11,000 furniture items. And that's through about 250 engagements on the client side. And, you know, from an ESG perspective, that means 215 tonnes, or a bit more, in fact, have been rehomed, kept out of landfill. And through our recycling exercises, where we're engaged to actually clear the space, we've also achieved more than 150 tonnes there. So it's a start. It's we're evolving, we're growing, and look, there's lots more to solve. We think with the 2.5 million square metres of office space just being refurbished alone, there is enormous marketplace to be had, and a lot of ESG and economic value to be captured from what others basically consider waste. So how do we actually work? Look, I won't go into a lot of detail, but there are lots of moving parts which we have built into our model that works seamlessly together behind the scenes to make it a very, very easy service to engage with and be sustainable. Basically, from planning to delivery to reporting, we operate. I'll just draw your attention very quickly to Circle 4, which is handling logistics. Typically, when a space is deemed surplus and needs to be stripped out and brought back to base, a subcontractor will move in and they'll effectively strip the space out and send it to disposal or recycling, which is appropriate in some instances. Many instances, there's leaving a lot of opportunity available, not being tapped into. And so all that activity around Circle 4 is what we do behind the scenes to deliver the ESG outcome. We think that's a barrier to entry too for other organisations who might be trying to start up. So what does it cost? Look, we are a fee for service. At the end of the day, an organisation will have to pay someone something to clear their space. We're saying we'll work with that budget and we'll do it sustainably. There are also a range of other services we offer on a fee for service basis. On the other side, to deliver the ESG outcome, we need to offload that furniture, and we can do that through a number of ways. One is through the small business sector. 98% of the economy is made up of small businesses, and they are ready to take corporate office assets. We try and maximize that through a high volume, fast turnaround model to try and work within time constraints of the project and minimize storage costs if we are in fact bringing things back to store. We also facilitate charity giveaway programs on a fee for service basis, and they are a decent sized recipient in our network as well. We have had the fortune of working with basically all parts of the office sector system, from the building owners to their advisors to large tenants. We've worked across government and various projects at this stage, which is great. Large commercial tenants that have multi-sites, and we've even started doing some small projects with furniture manufacturers and having some very interesting conversations on that side. So you might be wondering, where are we trying to go with this? Look, I think there's an opportunity to build and lead a platform and service offering for industry and Australia, an actual go-to platform for organisations looking to offload, and also those businesses and individuals looking to procure pre-owned items that are high quality, and that's where we're working towards. So just very quickly, we've gone through a range of projects, over 200 engagements, but this sort of just gives you an indication of the type of services we can bring to a client depending on their budget and their goals. We've actually recently done a sales campaign, sort of a consignment selling service for a large corporate, which was hugely successful and generated over 50 tonnes of items being rehomed before being handed back to the landlord. We've worked for Westpac, did a job actually last week, but this job here is in Queensland. There was a charitable focus to this one where we're engaged to facilitate the giveaway of items before the building was handed back to the landlord. We've worked for state government agencies before, and this was a make good down at Chatswood in Sydney. And again, we had a very successful outcome. I was very excited about 50 tambours being on-sold to a small business there. We've also started a very small program with a furniture manufacturer being Freedom, looking at sort of on-selling their returns projects, items that may have typically gone to landfill. They're looking at us as a potential channel to offload that on their behalf. So look, there's lots going on in our organisation. We love to expand the conversation to those who are looking to manage a workplace project and manage the waste sustainably, and love to deliver the ESG outcomes for those clients and do it in a very easy, hassle-free fashion. So that wraps up the presentation. Thanks for your time, and happy to answer any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Justin. There's already a question here from Joanna at Yarra City Council. She asks, can you do anything with office chairs that need re-gassing?
The short answer is chairs can be regassed. We try, and rather than get involved in the upcycling and repair and resurfacing, we tend to offer our marketplace to groups that want access to those items. So we are aware of a few micro entrepreneurs that look to regas, reupholster chairs and then on-sell. We can do that. We've looked into it, but we haven't been engaged by a client to regas specifically.
Okay, and Eloise from Hunter Joint Organisation says, great initiative, much needed. Interested to know if there are minimum volumes for the service. What reporting of outcomes can you provide clients?
Yeah, cool. At this stage, there's no minimum. With our logistics partner, there is a minimum fee for service. So, you know, we do get called out to suburban offices that might literally have, you know, a setup for 3 staff and there's like 3 desks, 3 chairs. We'll get involved, but there's a minimum fee to do that. So then it becomes a sort of a cost way up exercise for the client. And we've worked from that size right through to, in fact, the full building. So we've managed to work across all parts. Reporting, certainly for corporate clients who are interested in ESG reporting, we do track the weight of what's rehomed, We also track the weight of what's recycled and disposed if it's a clear out project. And so we can offer that reporting back to the client and effectively a resource recovery rate between the recycling and rehoming when you divide that by the total volume or weight of the fit out we've been working on.
And Rebecca from, is it Yarra Valley Council? Sorry, I just lost it. Asks, Justin, is it just capital cities or surrounding areas as well?
If the short answer is just capital cities, because ultimately to deliver the ESG outcome, you have to have a presence for reuse and registered businesses and charities that want the items. So logistically, we can go regional, but we can't always guarantee that reuse outcome across regional areas. We can then bring it back to a metropolitan warehousing situation, but there's a cost to do that and the client would have to build that into their budget. So at the moment, we're focusing on Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, and we've just kicked off with a partnership in Perth with the logistics and rehoming on that side of things as well. So
and Tina, from Moyne Shire Council, I hope that answers your question as well about regional areas. Joanna from Yarra City Council asks, do you encounter any OH&S barriers to the government procurement of pre-used office furniture?
Look, we're only at the early stages on the procurement side. We're dealing with a council at the moment. We don't take on the ownership of the items. So it's effectively buyer beware. You're buying from the secondary market. But what we try and do is only make those items that we're confident in for resale. So we tend to steer clear of electrical items. We do give those away to charities. But effectively, if you're looking at your standard office setup, the chairs, the desks, the tables, etc., there's no sort of warranty attached to it, but we're pretty confident. In fact, over the last 3.5 years, there's only been a couple of instances where we've had to find a like for like replacement. Out of those 11,000 items, almost 99% of them have been successful.
And Vanessa just has a comment, being in Queanbeyan Palerang Council, about how difficult it is to rehome. So might be worth having a chat with Vanessa.
Yeah, sure.
As well. Okay, wonderful. Thank you all. We're finishing a bit early, which we like to do, give everybody some free time back. We hope you all really enjoyed this introduction to circular economy startups and the sorts of innovations that are happening in the circular economy in Australia. At the moment, at Boomerang Labs, we are always looking for and interested in entrepreneurs that are out there coming up with circular economy business models. And please, if you come across businesses that you think could use some help to grow and commercialize, please get in touch with us at Boomerang Labs as well. And likewise, we will keep you all updated with these wonderful entrepreneurs and the great work they're doing and the innovations that we're seeing in this space, because we know that more than anybody in councils and government bodies, you're really at the forefront of this transition. So thank you all. Have a wonderful morning. And please be in touch if you have any more questions. Thanks very much.